Yo, Chantel, what's going on? How are you? Welcome back to
Tommy.
another episode of Millennials Are. And you out here doing it. And, you know, for our audience, a lot of them, if they check the old episode, you know what I'm saying, we had some challenge check issues, but it was a very valuable episode. We exchanged a lot of knowledge and everything. And how have you been?
I've been a lot of things, honestly, a lot
Okay.
of things, but if I had to sum it all up into one word, blessed.
Okay. Blessed. Okay. Recently blessed to walk the stage and graduate, right? Like
Yes.
that is pivotal.
Last weekend, that was and is.
How was it? I mean, like you had the whole fam there. Like it had to be different because, like, it like just based off of statistics and data, right? Like you were not supposed to, make it thus far. You know what I'm saying? With everything that went on. If Chantel, you want to kind of share a little bit about your situation and the felony situation. Is that something you feel comfortable with addressing again?
I want to go back even further. Like when we're talking about statistics, I was supposed to make it to where I made it prior to the felony. Statistically speaking, don't get me to lying. I don't have the correct number for you. I know for sure that there is some sort of number attached to your level of success.
Okay.
Two-parent household. My mother passed away whenever I was a baby. I was 8, almost 9 months old.
Really, I had no clue. Actually, I didn't
Yes,
know that. I had
yes,
no
yes.
clue. And that's tough losing the mom. Like usually it's like people's story is like the pops ain't there. You know what I'm saying? And our community is full of people, very strong women who, they muster up and make those things happen. Like as a pops, it's a weird, it's kind of a weird vibe bit out there like that.
Yeah. I'd like to say that my life thus far has been lived as an anomaly to illustrate that anybody can do anything. It sounds
Okay.
kind of paradoxical, right? Like completely different can show everybody that everybody, you know what I mean? Like
Because you're kind of an anomaly because so you added the fact that you didn't, have a mother basically growing up, that role was kind of shifted from the birth mother. And so that statistical thing, and then you grow up trying to figure out the world and then you land your case, right? And then that's even more of a
yeah.
thing. And then you didn't stop there. It's like then you go
You
and graduate from college. But then wait, before
just
that, no, fam, before that you got the job at the place, you know what I'm saying, at a spot that they typically don't hire people who aren't, qualified in those positions to do, right? And you was making good money, good bread, doing your thing out here shining, you know what I'm saying? And so that's kind of crazy. But if you want to elaborate on that a little bit, so,
yes.
further,
Named
I think the case is more pivotal though. I don't know.
it's chapter 12.
Chapter 12. Okay.
It's
You
chapter
said 12.
12.
You just throwing out numbers or what? Okay.
Prison is chapter 12. If said tell the people my story, you don't start out
Uh-huh.
the story at chapter 12. You
Yeah,
start
that's
out with preface forward and stuff like that. So I'm not even gonna do that. I just
okay.
want you
All
to
right.
know that chapter 1, my mom passed away when I was a baby. I have no recollection of her. Now, from what I know about trauma now, my body did and does, but I didn't. I grew up an only child. I have siblings, but whenever my mom passed away, I went with my biological father, and my siblings went with their dad. You said like in
Mm.
our community, normally the father's pretty absent. Another anomaly. My dad wasn't. Um,
Mhm.
Black man who was very interested and present in his daughter's life. Yes, yes, yes. Early on, I had a lot of motherly figures. God
Okay.
stepped in and like blessed me in that sense. There was a lot of women in my life that kind of like I guess took it upon themselves to fill in those roles. One person in particular, my stepmom, my dad's ex-wife, she's still very present in my life. They got together when I was like 5. So like she helped raise me. Anomaly, did great in school. In
Mhm.
that type of environment, normally statistic wise, I would do bad in school. I also have ADHD, but it was not
Yeah.
diagnosed until I was an adult, and I did great in
Mhm.
school. Anomaly. Um,
Yeah.
yes, I know, right? Like
I see the 12 steps to Chantel, the book
you
coming
see,
out fairly
so
soon.
Like that, like if we talk about one chapter in itself is cool. But in order for you to really appreciate what I'm going to tell you, understand the first 11 chapters. You know what I mean? Yes. I won't even get into my life before college. Like, it was hard.
Okay.
It was hard, but beat the odds again. Anomaly. I got paid to go to school. Scholarship.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
What was your scholarship originally in?
I had multiple. I didn't have one full ride. I had multiple scholarships that like just stacked on top of each other. So like freshman year of college, initially like straight out of high school, that refund check was nice. And it wasn't like loans. It was all grants and scholarships.
That's awesome. And just real quick, I just want to caveat on that. So the beautiful part of what she's expressing to you, the audience currently, is the fact that when scholarships is not like a binary route. It's not this or that. It's a bunch of conglomerates of things. Chantel, I was talking to some of my troops last night, and we were talking about like, they're in a different generation where they can completely graduate debt free if they decide that they're going to go out there and get it. And even when you were getting scholarship, technology wasn't what it is now. Like now they can get a bunch of different layers of scholarships from a bunch of places. So that's amazing. So carry on.
Ooh. I'm glad that you touched on that, because although I don't feel like there's been so much time that's passed since me and elementary school, there has been enough time that things have changed. Like you just said, technology it's crazy to even say, because back whenever we were younger, you know what I mean? Like technology, like it was cutting edge, and it still is, but like you just said, there's so much more like at our fingertips. And I remember my scholarship search was even more difficult because I was the pioneer. Like there was nobody close to me that I could go to and be like, hey, how do I do this? I had to just figure it out. And so I know there are a lot of people who that's their story. They're the first ones like trying to figure it out.
Yeah, and it's crazy because like I realize that I'm actually the first person from my family to actually, my immediate family, besides my stepmom, you know what I'm saying? We kind of had a detached relationship. Like we wasn't really, I let things be what they are, right? But nobody gave me the information, really to say, hey, go to college, do this, be this thing, and do that thing. My pops, the baseline information he had was, if you're gonna join the army, go become an officer. That's all he knew. He just knew that when he got treated wrong, it was, by an officer, and he was like, you built with the right, the right intestinal fortitude to make the right decisions and to look out for people.
Ooh, intestinal fortitude. My leader, my boss says that all the time. I'm sorry.
He does. No, you good. No, you good. But it, just the concurrent, like the concurrent, stories is very interesting because wow, like I wake up and like I'm really a captain. Like I look in the room and there's not very many of us, you know what I'm saying, to represent in the fold. Like you actually have a lot of African Americans that get out because they don't see anybody that looks like them and they can't relate, right? And then a lot of times when you get with people that do look like you, it's one of those situations where you got to figure out if y'all from the same spot. Like we don't all do the same things. We don't all interact the same way. We don't all have the same culture, right? And then once you reach a certain level in the military, a lot of people, you see a lot of, African Americans, they reach a certain level and they're too disconnected from the people. Like they're almost super politicians more than the person that's gonna look out for the people. So carry on. But it was just it's interesting as you level up, you start to see those, those things like, man, I really wasn't supposed to be here right now, So
well, this is just my take on things and learning, especially over these past couple of years. Really learning and experiencing that a lot of the systems that have been created that we've been conditioned to tie success to are set on the premise of weeding out humanity. Like you just said, like you go into that environment. Well, first I want to say that you say that your dad, your biological father said, go to the military or be an officer. Let's just assume for a second, that everybody is working with the best that times change, right?
Yeah.
A lot of things that stay the same, but times change. Credit scores were invented in our parents' generation.
Yeah.
So
You know,
like,
that's actually crazy. Like people think that like I'm glad you touched on that because I was having this conversation the other day. You know, credit scores, 401ks, all of those things, they haven't been around for very long.
and I only know a little bit about it through my studies with what I've been doing and pursuing entrepreneurship and mentorships and whatnot. But your father, your biological father, that was the best he knew at the time, right? To him, through experiences, reinforcement, through actions, life, and people have taught him that as a Black man, that's
Yeah.
how you reach success in his era. That's how it was defined. That's not your reality, though.
Exactly.
Because you realize that things changed. So he was just doing the best. For the longest amount of time, I was heated, bro. Like, couldn't nobody help me? They didn't know. They didn't have
When
this
they
experience that I had.
Yeah, and they didn't know what you did know or didn't know either.
Exactly.
That's the thing that I'm finding every day. Like a lot of it's strange. The universe puts me in a lot of places to do a lot of great things, but it puts a lot of work in front of me, right?
Absolutely.
And the hardest part is I'm like, why me? And then like,
Give
and then
it
you start to find out
easier.
they don't even know how to do the thing. They telling me, oh well, do it like this and do it. And I'm like, okay, so this is a traditional thing, so I should be able to go by the book with whatever you tell me I'm doing. Nah.
The only thing that's traditional in life is change. That's the only constant.
Yeah, but it's they don't even have a framework. I'm like, you don't even have the answer, Sway, but you over here talking to me like, you know what I'm saying? But sometimes you have to realize, you and I, we're the type of people that, because of how we carry ourselves, because of how articulate we are, because we've had to go find the answers and figure it out, because we've had to have critical thinking skills all of our lives, it creates somebody that people they don't really know how to interact with sometimes. Like I find it all the time. Like people are like, you know, like I'll be like, oh yeah, I already handled that. They're like, what? Oh really? I'm like, yeah, I get 24 hours and I'm rationing out every one of those bad boys. But you know, it's just interesting, right? Like I don't know if you ever run into that, like with people, you know, kind of trying to little sis you and like, you know.
And it used to, and sometimes still does, depending on how I show up in the space. It used to, and sometimes still does, grind my gears, right? Because the question that proposes in my spirit is, how can you help me get somewhere you've never been? But I've learned a little bit more that helps me not experience that from an uncomfortable standpoint for myself.
Yeah, okay. So what did you learn that helps you?
We talk about what separates us all the time. Differences are highlighted all the time. We don't talk too much about the same, our likenesses. And there is one thing that I can say for certain, like without a shadow of a doubt, we're all humans.
Yeah.
That's the uniting factor. And there is a thing with humans that is the same in every human. And my job has allowed me the privilege to be exposed to some knowledge and some terms and some information that I hadn't had access to before. And
that's so real.
Yes. And that is the study of trauma, like, and its effect on people. Like back in the day, PTSD was like, and still is, defined in the book a certain way. But the medical field is a practice. They keep studying, they keep publishing new information, like people keep learning. And now there are different definitions, words to actual life experiences, complex trauma. You know what I mean? Like, and whenever I started understanding the terms and applying them to my life, awareness about myself and figuring out things about myself and giving grace to myself, and think like, oh dang, I didn't mean to be malicious in this. Oh, I meant this and I did this, so somebody else could have perceived. Well, if that was me and I was doing it like this, let's assume that flip-flop, they were like this and I took it like this, and then I did it.
And they didn't even mean those things.
Leadership and self-deception, getting out of the box, is a great book to this. Leadership and self-deception. It's by the 𝗙𝗪𝗟𝗡 Institute, Leadership and Self-Deception. It is a nice read written in like a story format. It uses like first person I and it's like, but it's, I was gonna say a parable, but it's an actual, like it's a narrative kind of, you know what I mean? Like it's a book, it's a story. But the lessons in it, I learned the lesson through life, and then through one of my classes, I was exposed to the book. And I was like, glad I figured this one out. It helped me see some other areas I can dig deeper that I still needed work on. You know what I mean?
Isn't that trippy though? Like a lot of the lessons, like you'll feel them, you'll know like it's something here, and then you read the right book, and it's like there's the framework. This is why I missed the lesson. But it means so much more to you when you read a book that's intuitive to the actual issues that you've been having.
Yes.
Like sometimes I'll find books and then I'm like, then I experience something in real life and I'm like, oh, whoa, okay, there it was, right? So
yes,
that's dope. That's dope.
Yeah, viewers, check that book out too. Listen, if you're a person and you are breathing and have some level of literacy, get the book, audio book, whatever format you need, get the book. It's literally on my number one thing. Who do I want to become? I have a post-it here on my computer. Number one is reader. It doesn't matter if you read one word a day. You know what I mean? Like,
or if you listen. I think a lot of times when I'm at the gym,
isn't necessarily, because I have the book right here. It's not necessarily like you said. Sometimes it's got that audio book. I'm listening to it, or I'm talking about how do you move a mountain.
That's a good question. That's a good question. How do you move a mountain, Chantel? How do you move a mountain? You asking me how to move a mountain?
Can you tell me?
I think you move it piece by piece.
So if we equate all of our situations to mountains, exercise, mountain, what's your rock getting up? You know what I mean?
All right, all right. She preaching. Look, she giving a sermon right now.
I'm talking to myself. I'm getting ready. I've signed up to go to this boot camp, man. So this is for me too. But exercise, how do you want to? If you don't do that for but a month, bro, practice getting up at the right time. You know what I mean? You don't even have to change your clothes. Don't put on no nothing. Just practice getting up at the time. You know what I mean? In terms of this book. Oh, Chantel, I don't have time to read. I got this. I got that. We are never going to have time to do the things that we need to do. Never.
No.
And we have a finite amount of time allocated to us. One word. That's all you can do is one word. You did it.
Which I know you can do more than one word.
But here's the thing.
You on that phone.
There's gonna be days though, Tommy. Listen, there's gonna be days that my best is not my best that day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
Relative. I can't show up here every single day. I'd like to. It's a goal. It's something I'm striving toward, but I know my capacity as a human, right?
That's real.
And so if I set myself up for failure, if I set myself up in my mind, tell myself that I have to do something that I know physically I'm not ready for, that's a setup. That's not being true to myself. It's cause, you know what I mean? So I'm not going to get into the science of it, but you set small bars because when you hit them, they automatically raise.
That's real. I got a question. Yeah, because and that's really dope. Like because when you speaking of those small bars, what bars have you set between now and when the pandemic happened that helps you get to this point where you are now? The graduation, the point of clarity, the digging deep on your own psyche. What bars did you set between, the 20 and the 22?
My first rock, staying alive. Not COVID wise. Depression. Yes. Depression. When we last, oh man, I'm talking about I showed up because that's what I do. Broken. Honestly, broken. In our last interview, homeless. Literally, I was staying in one of my best friends' homes. He let me stay in a room for some months. When the pandemic happened, I'll give you the very quick version. In a matter of, so what pandemic happened started early 2020, early 21?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Early 2020, I think.
early, so
Yeah.
I'm a year behind. Sorry, it's been moving
Nah,
fast. My job, like you said, I got out of prison. My bad, y'all. Went to college out of high school. Was about 2 years into my second year. Caught a case. I was a driver in an armed robbery. Subsequently ended up serving 4 years. So yes, the same person who got paid to go to school, scholarships, all of that, was a Class X felon. And at the height of it was facing a minimum of 21 years and wasn't even 21 years old. Served 4 years from 2014, 2018, came home in 2018, hit the ground. I had a plan, literally a list of things I wanted to do and dates. Thank you. I had some time to think about it. Not everybody utilizes it, but my drive was there because I was running from the label of feeling like a failure. I felt like I had beat all the odds against me and went to college and this, and like it was fueled off of what other people felt about me. And I took what other people felt about me as like fact. What I thought what other people thought. It was bad. When it was good, nah, I just wasn't a receiving vessel. So yes, like not good enough, inadequate. Felt very inadequate.
Well, that's very tough because you also being go-getters like we are, like we always on the grind. So it's like when something good happens, like, oh, okay, cool, it's good. All right, next. You know what I'm saying? And so people are like, yeah, you're doing good.
Good. Like I'm talking about like ever since a child, I couldn't receive the good. This is me speaking from retrospect because I understand now. For the longest amount of time, I did not understand. It was a process of me figuring this out. So when I'm speaking to you right now, it's because I figured it out.
That's awesome.
I couldn't have told you this before because we don't know what we don't know, right? So yeah, I figured that out through heartache. So lost the job. Wait. Because I got to get you back to the rock. I need y'all to know why it was hard to stay. So came home from prison. Pew. I'm talking about like I had never left. And as much as I had accomplished before, I was doing the same thing in a shorter amount of time. And everyone around me was so happy. Like, oh my God, I knew this. You're great. You're this. And I felt worse and worse and worse and worse with every single accomplishment.
Ooh.
Yes.
Like compounding worse? Like not just like, okay,
worse.
I achieved something, I don't feel good about it. I don't feel good. Oh wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Compounding worse. Put it to you like this. I'm not happy. I don't feel fulfilled. What's going on? I'm not satisfied. Like, I just did this. I should feel like this. People are telling me this about me. I should feel like this, but I don't. I'm not happy. What's going on? Maybe if I do this. Okay, yep, that's it. Whenever I do this, whenever I get this, that'll be it. I'll be happy. And I kept doing that. And none of it was working. So that is where the compounding came from. Like, dang, I'm doing. But my emotions are going. Like, I'm already here. How do I get lower than here? Like, okay. So finally started going to therapy. I didn't know at the time my emotional intelligence was like super low. Didn't even know, you know what I mean? Like I didn't know how to express myself. Furthermore, I didn't know how to experience others when they express themselves. So through the process of figuring that out, I was in therapy for a few months before the pandemic hit, and then lost my job, got laid off, broke up with my significant other at the time, moved out from her house. Every foundational piece I had chased and set up to foundational piece for success, what I thought, like, this is failed at the same time, like at the same time. And the only thing that was left was me. Yes. The only thing that was left was me. And ooh, that hurt. That hurt to be put in a position to face what I'd been running from. Yes.
Like that's tough. Cause we're so surrounded by external stimulus that we rarely ever have to sit with ourselves. And you have to be almost either you hit rock bottom or you have to be extremely intentional about sitting with yourself and sitting down and processing where you have been, what you haven't been doing, and what you need to work on, and who you really are. Like, on our last episode, we talked about, we were like, Chantel is, but I didn't understand the depth or the magnitude of that statement.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because you had to sit with who Chantel was. You
Yeah.
you obviously, you're gorgeous, right? But
Thank
you
you.
had to sit with yourself and be like, this is me though.
Yeah.
Like, this is me.
Yes.
Like, and that's tough too, because being in the position that you are, and being as social as you seem to be, people don't know that that's going on the inside. So they see
Exactly.
this gorgeous person, they see them, they're like, man, this must be like, they doing it. Like, they
Yes.
done got out, they done did this, and they didn't. But on the inside, it's like that Robin Williams. Like, Robin Williams,
Yes.
nobody knew that he was deep down. He couldn't find himself.
Yes.
And so after you had to sit with yourself, what happened then?
I confronted God after
Okay.
a while. I had to
Okay.
feel it for quite some time. I had to feel it. What did feeling it look like? What they define as depression in most cases, like not showering, sitting in the bed, not being able to eat, sitting in the dark. I mean, like isolating myself. And again, I'm speaking from a place of understanding now. That was part of the process. I had to get alone. I had to silence the noise so I could hear me. And when I talk about me, like my relationship with God, I consider myself more spiritual than religious anymore. I believe in God, but not the way that it was necessarily taught to me. So
That's understandable.
okay. So yeah, I was mad and angry and resentful and hurt and all of that for quite some time, but I still got it. When I say I got up every day, that means there was days that I didn't get out the bed. You know what I mean? Like didn't brush my teeth. Those kinds of things. I had to feel it. And once I reached my capacity to feel that, I cried out in anger. Like God, I could listen. I talk to God how I talk to my friends. Like I curse. You know what I'm not gonna do it here on the podcast, but what the heck we doing? Why am I still here? I don't want to be here. I took my honesty to God and I was so angry and fed up and just hurt. Like I said it out loud and it was a lot of things going on at that time. God was doing a thing. I was being stripped and added to at the same exact time because although I was in a broken, cool things were coming of it. I did more during that time than I had done my entire life. I went to Miami like 2 or 3 times. Had never been to Miami. Went to the Virgin Islands. Ended up getting stuck there and stayed for almost a week.
I was catching that on social media.
Like at homeless. You know what I mean? They came to me. Those opportunities came to me. Things that I had dreamed of, like, dang, I wish I could do this, but I don't have time. But all of these things that I had created for myself to believe. It was a false reality, essentially, because I get to choose, but I chose to believe that I didn't have the time because I had this to do and this to do and this to spend my money on. And like all of the reasons I couldn't were stripped away from me. And it just so happened that life circumstances happened at the same time to enable the very things that I said I could not do. And I recognized it. I paid attention. You see, if I had so much noise, I had a lot of noise in my head. At that point in time, it was me. It was in my head. If I chose to listen to the voices in my head and act on them, because you're going to hear them, they're yours. If I acted on what I was telling me, part of me was telling me, you can't, it's off the, I'm not good enough type thing. It's deeply rooted. I wouldn't have done the things that I did, but there was some little crazy piece that was like, you know what, do it anyway, do it anyway, do it anyway. The opportunity came, do it anyway. Do it anyway. Yeah. And through those moments and, those things is how I started figuring out what I'm telling you now taught me. But I had to keep on living in order to learn it. And so my rock, whenever everything was just so heavy, I didn't see the reason. You know what I mean? For real. Like, man, this hurts too bad. It hurts too bad. Why keep going? I kept going. Some days my 100% looked a lot like 1% on the days that I was proud of. Yeah, Like,
100%. Well, it's
I had to teach myself, like, that was my 100% for that day.
and 1% is okay. I think a lot of people, and I don't necessarily, I think 1% doesn't necessarily give it the credit or the credence that it deserves. It's, I think a lot of times we're still at 100%. It's just not what people would traditionally say. This is 100% day.
And
Because
that's
when you
what it
add up
was.
everything, yeah,
Other
and it's
people
like,
wouldn't have
yeah.
seen it like that, in my opinion. I didn't even know because I didn't ask. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I didn't
a
know.
lot of times we projecting. Most people worried about what they finna eat. They ain't even worried about us.
Absolutely.
And that's hard as a go-getter because a lot of times we in the spotlight. Like, we set the standard for ourselves, and you get haters that come along and talk, you know what I mean? So they'll try to block your shot. Oh, how's your little thing going on? How's your little degree? You know what I'm saying? How's your little podcast? You know what I'm saying? Then we start projecting, thinking people are watching us because it feels like there's a spotlight on us now. When a lot of people are rooting for us to succeed, and a lot of people they're so caught up in their own world that their little slights on us are meant for themselves, not us.
Absolutely. And even learn, and that leadership and self-deception, it is powerful because I was always able to see the wrong in other people, but it was so much harder for me to recognize the areas that I could improve in. And because I didn't see where I was lacking, I perpetuate the uncomfortable experiences that I was experiencing. And when I started to tap into the fact that I had so much more power than I allowed myself to operate on, I just started experimenting, like not necessarily knowing that that's what I was doing at the time. You know what I mean? I listened to my heart, intuition, different, like the feelings. I trusted them and leaned a little bit less on my strategic logic. It was a place for that, but I had never truly let myself feel. And honestly, I'm still in that space. And I don't think I'm ever going to leave that space because I finally discovered the strength in mastering my mind, my heart, and my spirit. Sorry, my dog is going crazy.
No, it's all good. She caught the mind, the body, and spirit too. But yeah, no, that's beautiful. And I think, as a culmination. So was that, right before graduation, or that was just like the space where, like, when you, because we talking about that gap between you came out of it, you sat with it, you analyzed where it was coming from, and then you started to manage it.
I'm talking about a season. It's still occurring.
Okay, so you're still in that season. Okay, that makes sense.
I thought that life was more strategic, how I define strategy. Black and white. It's gray. It is so gray. It all runs together. And
it does.
I can have moments where I'm vibrating high. I'm talking about like I feel like this is it. Like I can't get no better. And then I have moments where I'm the same little girl, the hurt little girl. It's just about awareness, recognizing where you are in a specific moment, that moment, acknowledging it and acting based off of the tools that you've collected through going through this process.
That's real. And we appreciate you, sharing your season with us and where you are now. I think that's beautiful. And sharing the book and everything. So what'd you say? What?
I guess I haven't even told you where I am now, huh?
Yeah, that's all I'm trying to, maybe it's a secret. I don't know.
Oh no, it's not a secret at all. I'm talking to you through my process. I am no longer homeless. I have my own apartment. Me and my baby girl over there that you hear. I have a job. I am no longer jobless. I work at Richland Community College. Currently, my title is long, Executive Administrative Assistant of External Affairs. It's a long title. What I do is help. I do that every single day, whatever that may look like. I'm not going to say too much. I'm probably in a transitionary period in my job where my role is about to shift into
Okay.
something that's more in alignment with what I'm getting ready to tell you. So, not jobless, not homeless. And I wouldn't be doing justice if I didn't talk about the blessing in that. I work at a college as a Class X felon. I'm talking about wouldn't even be able to pass the background check to go clean the toilets in executive role. So there's something
It's
special
amazing.
about Richland Community College, the college nobody's doing that. So I want to publicly say, and my boss, Courtney Carson, there's a lot of people I could thank, but there's nobody doing that. So yes, I work at a college, just graduated from university last weekend. I am an entrepreneur and I am a servant. I want to start out with servant because I feel like leadership is yes. I'm a servant, but the shirt I'm wearing, walk it like we talk it, a new role I'm in with them too. Chief Operating Officer, spokesperson. Yeah, it's a lot, but this is an organization that is geared towards activating younger generation in 4 areas of engagement: mentorship, political engagement, social justice. It's God is doing some things because he put me in these positions, right? But before he put me in the positions, planted that seed of entrepreneurs. I already started in entrepreneurship whenever I was homeless. The tutoring, looking incredibly prepared, financial literacy, and like all of it led me, the last mentorship I invested in was a motivational speaking mentorship.
Okay.
And a couple months later, I was literally set up in the path to get me there. My job had me facilitate a workshop for the local sophomore students in my school district. I'm not credentialed in that. So for the viewers, it doesn't matter what anybody says. I mean, like anybody, even some of the stuff that you say to you to limit you. It's been said before, and I'll say it again. Your gifts make room for you. Your gifts make room for you. Your gifts make room for you. There are laws that define what I can and cannot do, and for some reason, they're not applying right now. So I say that to say, if you're in alignment with what you're called to do, and you're adding value to yourself and to others, yourself, God. It's not
That's
a
real.
full thing. It's self-fulfilling. You know what I mean? Like, baby, you're gonna walk through some doors that you didn't even see the frames for. You hear me?
Yeah. That's real. That's real. That's amazing. Like, you know what I'm saying? You didn't come so far. I didn't even know that you was that far, you know what I'm saying, deep down. And I just think it's amazing. I appreciate you, and the audience does too.
You'd be
Appreciate you coming
surprised
on.
how many people are that far down, and you'd never.
Yeah. You never know. And then that's why, a lot of times you talked about it earlier, how you have to kind of detach and realize that a lot of times when people are talking to you, they're not necessarily, sometimes we are perceiving things that aren't even there and they're going through their own struggles.
Absolutely.
We appreciate you, Chantel. And until next time,
you
you keep doing your thing out there. This has been another episode of Millennials Are with the Chantel Rogers. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Not a problem.